We look at every long structure in the state, and a long structure is classified as something that's greater than 20 feet in length, actually, and that's in span length. Okay, so it's the opening, the waterway opening of the bridge, measured along the center line of the roadway. And in this state, we have just over 2,700 bridges that are classified as long structures. And then I give you a breakdown of, 313 on the interstate system, and then the rest either on the state system or the majority, a lot of them are on the town system, over 1,600 on the town system. And we do have a few that are owned by the railroad or privately owned that we look at for various reasons. But we've been looking at these bridges for a long time. The inspection program came about because of an accident, bridge collapse. We started looking at these bridges, and we have the data going back quite a while, easily accessible to 1983. We do have some information on short structures, and a short structure would be something classified as greater than 6 feet and up to that 20-foot in span length. One difference on short structures is that we only have those for the state system. All town system short structures are the responsibility of the towns. We're not required to inspect them according to federal highway process, but we choose to inspect them in the same manner. We just can't go quite back as far as we can with the long structures. And then, of course, we do have a few off-highway structures, retaining walls, overhead sign supports, the recreational paths, and not the private ones, but those that we've had some either state or federal dollars in, we look at those also. The one downside of those is we're not maintaining a historical database of those. It's just every time we go out and look at them, the data's overwritten, and we just have current data. So the BIS system that you probably have all used, that's based on the NDI collection information. Federal Highway tells us how we're going to inspect, what we're going to inspect, and the methodology for reporting it. And that all can be found in this coding guide. The best place to look for it is on the federal website. For the most part, the data has stayed the same. We still report it in the same manner. Very, very few changes have happened to it. And within here, you'll find a lot of information about the bridges. You'll get the bridge identification information, the structure type, its age, the current conditions of the bridge based on a component, because we only look at certain components of the bridge. And currently, that's the deck, superstructure, substructure, and if it's a culvert, it's looked at independently as a culvert. The condition data is based on a 0 to 9 rating scale, where 9 is being the best, 0 is being failed. We have a lot of classification information, who owns it, what the functional class of the road is, and then geometrics, the length of the bridge, the width, curb to curb, out to out, the skew, you'll have all of that information there. And then, again, that can go historically. You can go all the way back to 83 and get that information. Load rating information can also be found. Is the bridge open to traffic? We have appraisal information. And then we do have limited information on improvements. And you'll find a lot of that information for all the different types of inspections we do. The majority of bridges are inspected as just a routine inspection. We're out there, we're doing a visual look at them, and we're recording all this information. If we have a fracture critical bridge or something that requires an underwater inspection, those will be independent inspections, and you can get that information also. The other thing that we do have in the BIS is specific state data that you might be interested in. We do have a covered bridge inventory. We have the last project name and number, the year it was last painted, utilities on the structure, all these little things that people ask randomly that we've decided to add into it. I will say that our Vermont state-specific data is not updated as well as the national data, because our requirement is really to look at the national stuff and what Federal Highway wants. You'll get a little bit more information on the type of bridge rail, the type of bearings, type of expansion joint, but we're limited, because sometimes you have a bridge that has multiple types of expansion joints. Well, we can only put one type down in here. So, just understand, take it with a grain of salt, but it is pretty good. You'll get load rating information based on the trucks that can be used on the state roads. So we're looking at our 3-axle truck, our 4-axle truck, our 6-axle truck, not the design truck, it's the actual trucks that are on Vermont roads. What happens is that information is then transferred to Federal Highway. They give us back some information based on the data that we give them. They assign the structural deficiency or the functional obsolescence to our bridges and the federal sufficiency rating. So they give that back, those numbers back to us. We put them back into the BIS, and then we create a historical field or file that can be accessed by anybody. This is that coding guide, and this is our Bible. This is what Federal Highway tells us we have to inspect by. So it has all the federal items, and it tells you everything about our inspection process. It describes how we have to take our measurements, how we have to do our ratings, how we have to report the information. Sometimes curb to curb width is to the 10th. Okay, so it's 26.3. Other times, it's telling us that our data has to be in feet and inches. The one thing, if you're using the BIS, we don't carry any decimal points. So they're kind of unitless. But we know the format they're supposed to be in. And that's because we have to report back to them in this sort of archaic format, which is that long string of just numbers or letters, and 432 characters long per record. This one is our Vermont-specific bridge inspection coding guide, which carries the same information that Federal Highway has, but it takes it a little bit deeper into their state-specific items. And it follows that same format. You'll know what items we're picking up. So it's really the same thing. It's just one is more the federal items versus the state items.